The first recorded case of humans keeping monkeys as beloved pets comes from ancient Rome. In 2020, archaeologists working at Berenike, an ancient Red Sea port in Egypt, discovered something extraordinary, buried in an animal cemetery just outside the town. Between 2011 and 2020, they uncovered close to 800 animal burials, but 35 of these graves contained something unexpected: Indian macaque monkeys. Dated to the 1st and 2nd centuries CE, when high-ranking Roman military personnel lived in the area. Here's where it gets really interesting. These weren't just any monkeys thrown in a pit. The Romans buried these monkeys with incredible care, treating them almost like human children. Around 40% of the monkey graves contained deliberate grave goods, which is crazy compared to cats and dogs at the same cemetery, which only had items in 3% of their graves. We're talking about restraining collars that showed the monkeys were kept on leashes, food offerings for their journey to the afterlife, and visually striking iridescent shells that were considered luxury items at the time. Some of these monkeys were buried alongside their own pets. One skeleton from the early 1st century CE was found next to a piglet's remains, along with a pair of large seashells, a woven basket, and a piece of cloth folded like a rag doll. The researchers concluded that the piglet shells, rag doll, and basket actually belonged to the young macaque, gifted to it by its Roman owner. Another monkey was buried with a puppy and a kitten. These Roman soldiers loved their monkeys so much, they gave them their own animal companions. What makes this discovery even more remarkable is where these monkeys came from. Analysis identified them as rhesus macaques and bonnet macaques from India, not the African Barbary macaques that were previously thought to be the only monkeys Romans kept. This means organized importation of live animals from beyond the ocean, transported thousands of miles across dangerous waters to reach Roman Egypt. This was the first physical proof of a live animal trade from India to the Roman Empire. The authors noted that owning these exotic monkeys was a distinct marker of elite status in Roman society. Someone walking around Berenike with an Indian macaque on a leash would have basked in glory. Recognized as an explorer of exotic lands with extraordinary connections and wealth. 4 Roman officers stationed at this isolated desert port 480 miles southeast of Cairo. These monkeys represented everything they couldn't have in this remote outpost: luxury, prestige, and a connection to the vast trading networks of the empire. But the Romans weren't the first to keep monkeys. If we go even further back to ancient Egypt, we find monkeys appearing everywhere in daily life. Egyptian tomb paintings from 3,600 years ago show domesticated monkeys in scenes of everyday activities, sitting under chairs, wearing collars, and being offered food by their owners. These weren't wild animals occasionally depicted. These were household pets integrated into Egyptian society. Ancient Egyptians kept various species, including baboons, smaller monkeys, and even vervets. Baboons were particularly significant because they were associated with Thoth, the god of wisdom. Temple walls show these intelligent animals dancing, playing musical instruments, and worshipping alongside humans. The Egyptians recognized something special in primates, something that set them apart from other animals. Monkeys appear in the classic pet beneath a chair motif in Egyptian art, where the master of the house sits with a pet cat beneath his chair and sometimes a monkey nearby. Dogs and monkeys were frequently shown together as companions in wealthy households, because Egyptians believed the next world was a continuation of this one. They mummified their pet monkeys and included them in tombs, just like they did with cats and dogs. The trade routes that connected Egypt with Africa and Arabia meant a steady supply of exotic animals, including various monkey species. For the wealthy and powerful, keeping monkeys demonstrated status and divine favor. Much like it would thousands of years later for the Romans, throughout medieval and Renaissance Europe, monkeys remained pets of the wealthy and powerful. Since at least the Minoans in the 2nd millennium BCE, monkeys were bought and kept as pets within the Greek world of the Aegean Sea. Minoan frescoes from Akrotiri show monkeys in vivid detail, proving their presence in Mediterranean culture going back over 3,500 years. By the 18th century, monkey keeping had become fashionable among European aristocrats. One of the most famous monkeys was General Jacou, a performer at Astley Circus and a favorite of the French court, especially Marie Antoinette. Jacou caused sensations by riding horses, dogs, and pigs, by tightrope walking, and performing acrobatic tricks, as well as his ability to smoke a pipe like a gentleman. Aristocrats and nobles often dressed monkeys in fashionable costumes and taught them tricks. They even learned to pickpocket at the French court of Versailles, which was apparently considered entertaining rather than criminal when performed by a well-dressed monkey. French artists like Watteau and Chardin portrayed monkey painters and monkey sculptors sculptors in their artwork, creating entire scenes of monkeys parodying human society in paintings called sin. The tradition spread to England and America, where monkeys became widely used by itinerant organ grinders. These street performers would have monkeys scamper around collecting change from audiences, and they were a common sight on city streets until the 1930s. Winston Churchill even created a famous quote based on this practice: "Never hold discussions with the monkey when the organ grinder is in the room," meaning talk to the decision maker, not the subordinate. Around the turn of the 20th century in the United States, owning monkeys became a massive social fad. This pattern would repeat throughout the century, often spiking when media anthropomorphized monkeys and normalized their suitability as pets. In the mid-1910s, dancer and fashion trendsetter Irene Castle was seen publicly and in photos with a pet monkey, inspiring her fans to seek similar pets. This created the first modern monkey ownership boom. Then, in the 1930s, monkeys were even trained to ride racing dogs for sport in Florida. 12 infant capuchin monkeys imported from Panama were raised with 12 greyhound puppies so they would form close bonds, then dressed in jockey outfits and photographed riding the dogs around racetracks. But the real explosion came in the late 1950s and 1960s. The market for monkeys in the US absolutely skyrocketed. Demand became so great that in 1955, government officials in Costa Rica expressed serious concern that pet monkey exports were decimating wild populations there. According to the Simian Society, there were 750,000 pet monkeys in the United States in 1971, which was more than the number of registered poodles at the time. Just think about that for a second. As prices declined over time, more and more people could afford monkeys. Pet stores sold them like puppies. Advertisements appeared in the backs of comic books and magazines offering baby monkeys for just a few dollars. It seemed like everyone wanted one of these adorable human-like creatures in their homes. Hollywood celebrities jumped on the trend. Actress Joan Collins had a pet monkey named Spider. Humphrey Bogart received a pet monkey from the Bogey fan club and was photographed bonding with it. The bond looked magical in the photos, just like with human companions. These images spread through magazines and newspapers, making monkey ownership seem glamorous and desirable. Here's the brutal truth that nobody wanted to talk about during the monkey craze: they make terrible pets. Of the estimated 40,000 monkeys sold each year during the 1960s peak, roughly 36,000 died within just 1 year. That's a 90% death rate. Many people enjoyed owning monkeys in their infancy when they were small, cute, and manageable, but they discovered that the animals became completely unmanageable upon reaching adolescence. The friendly baby monkey suddenly became wild, aggressive, and strong. In Los Angeles, health officials expressed serious concern regarding what they called the recent own your own monkey fad, as emergency rooms saw increasing injuries from monkey attacks. Even monkeys that seemed well cared for suffered. Skeletal analysis of the Roman monkeys from Berenike showed signs of malnutrition, particularly lack of fruits and vegetables. Rather than indicating deliberate neglect, researchers concluded this reflected the practical difficulty of supplying proper food in an isolated desert harbor. The same problem plagued modern owners. Monkeys need specialized diets, including fresh fruits, vegetables, and protein sources that are expensive and difficult to maintain consistently. Monkeys also carry numerous diseases transmissible to humans, including herpes B virus, which can be fatal. They're incredibly strong relative to their size and can cause serious injuries with bites and scratches. Their intelligence makes them dangerously clever at escaping enclosures and manipulating their environment in unpredictable ways. In the late 1960s, the first monkey sanctuaries appeared in the United States, providing options for unwanted pets. These facilities quickly became overwhelmed with adolescent monkeys whose owners couldn't handle them anymore. The animals couldn't be released into the wild because they'd lost survival skills and would introduce diseases to wild populations. Many had to be euthanized. It was a tragedy on a massive scale,